The global transition toward a circular bio-based economy relies heavily on fast-growing lignocellulosic feedstocks, plant biomass composed of cellulose and lignin. In this market, bamboo currently drives an industry valued at over $41 billion annually, providing raw material for everything from engineered timber to high-density bioenergy. The African continent harbors approximately 4.56 million hectares of natural bamboo coverage. Yet, despite holding roughly 12% of the world's resource, the commercial utilization of bamboo across Africa remains overwhelmingly at an infant stage. Scaling agricultural operations hinges on a technical understanding of species site matching, a critical knowledge gap that currently paralyzes the industry for both smallholders and industrial operators. In one location, a commercial stand yields thick-walled, harvestable combs in just 3 years. A few hundred miles away, the exact same planting stock results in stunted shoots, fungal blight, and total plantation failure. To capitalize on this resource, the agricultural sector has to abandon informal wild harvesting and adopt highly precise, data-driven silviculture. Treating the Bambusoideae subfamily as a single, universally adoptable monolithic crop is a foundational error that prevents regional industrialization. Bamboo is an incredibly diverse taxonomic group, comprising over 1,600 distinct species. Each species possesses highly specific, non-negotiable physiological requirements regarding altitude, temperature, precipitation, and soil chemistry. When cultivators treat bamboo generically, the results are catastrophic. Temperate species from the Arudinariae tribe will rapidly perish if planted in semi-arid lowlands, just as tropical clumping bamboos will die off entirely in frost-prone highlands. The solution relies on a standardized framework known as agroecological zoning, or AEZ. This system categorizes landscapes by analyzing the complex interplay of thermal belts, altitude, and moisture availability. By rigorously mapping specific bamboo taxa to their optimal agroecological zones, operators can establish rapidly maturing commercial plantations that yield upward of 50 tons of usable biomass per hectare. Precision species site matching determines whether an investment results in continuous, decade-long production or complete crop mortality. Africa features extreme ecological niches. Over millennia, specific indigenous bamboo taxa have evolved to master these precise, unforgiving environments. This diagram illustrates the topographic distribution of key bamboo species across African elevations, demonstrating exactly where specific taxa belong. Starting in the high-altitude water towers, between 2,200 and 3,500 meters above sea level, we find the keystone indigenous species, Oldania alpina, or African highland bamboo. The climatic and topographic parameters for Oldania alpina are extremely rigid. It requires intense solar radiation, high precipitation, and cool temperatures. If a farmer attempts to plant this species below 2,300 meters, it will uniformly fail. Even a marginal deviation of 200 meters down the mountain results in distinctly stunted culm height, reduced diameter, and critically low stalking densities per clump. Beyond timber, this specific high-altitude taxa plays an irreplaceable role in wildlife conservation, serving as the primary habitat and food source for endangered mountain gorillas in regions like Rwanda's Volcanoes National Park. The Afro-montane water towers represent a highly specialized, non-negotiable ecological niche reserved strictly for Oldania alpina. It cannot be pushed down into the valleys. Moving away from the misty highlands, vast expanses of the continent are dominated by semi-arid wooded grasslands, the Sahel, and the Sudanese savanna zones. Returning to the distribution diagram, the low-altitude, high-heat plains are ruled almost exclusively by a single indigenous species, Oxytenanthera abyssinica, or African lowland bamboo. To survive intense solar heat and prolonged dry seasons, this species has evolved thick-walled, nearly solid culms, a morphological adaptation that minimizes internal moisture loss. It thrives in agroecological zones characterized by high thermal regimes and exceptionally low precipitation, specifically areas receiving 1,200 millimeters of rainfall or less. However, cultivating Oxytenanthera abyssinica presents a unique challenge. It undergoes a rare gregarious mass flowering cycle roughly every 70 years. Following this rare seeding event, the parent plants die back completely across vast geographic expanses. forcing farmers to rely entirely on vegetative propagation to maintain their stands. Despite these reproductive challenges, it is the exclusive biological tool capable of halting desertification in these zones, providing a drought-resistant source of community bioenergy where other crops fail. Looking back at the topographic map, there is a massive geographic gap between sea level and 2,000 meters. The highly specialized indigenous species leave this vital mid-altitude and coastal zone agronomically empty. To supply the industrial bioeconomy with fast-growing, large-diameter timber, research institutions initiated extensive trials to introduce highly productive exotic clumping taxa from Asia into this midland void. This bar chart measures the estimated total biomass accumulation in tons per hectare of 4 introduced exotic bamboo species at 4 years of age, based on field trials in mid-altitude environments. The dominant performer is the tropical giant, Dendrocalamus hamiltoni. It accumulated a total biomass equivalent to 51.4 tons per hectare, offering an exceptionally lucrative return on investment for biomass energy and construction. Following closely is Bambusa vulgaris, yielding 48.5 tons per hectare. This species is exceptionally adaptable to humid and subtropical midlands, performing aggressively in bimodal rainfall areas. But the data also provides a stark warning. The Latin American species Guadua amplexifolia completely underperformed in this specific mid-altitude AEZ, generating only 7.4 tons per hectare. The high-yielding Asian giants achieve these massive numbers only when correctly matched to humid, low-elevation environments with excellent soil drainage, such as the coastal lowlands or the Lake Victoria Crescent. For commercial agribusiness, deploying the correct exotic species mapped precisely to the local agroecological zone dictates the maximum industrial biomass output. The biological engine driving these massive midland yields sits entirely out of sight: the subterranean sympodial rhizome network. Unlike a traditional tree that slowly adds concentric rings, a bamboo shoot breaks the soil surface, driven by extreme hydrostatic pressure from the rhizome. The new culm attains its maximum physical height and mature girth within a staggering 3 to 4 months. Industrial-scale operations rely on this underground network for propagation through vegetative cloning, using cuttings or tissue culture to ensure genetic uniformity, as natural flowering is both rare and unpredictable. This requires precise protocols. For example, treating culm cuttings of the stubborn indigenous savanna species with 4,000 parts per million of synthetic auxins increases rooting success by 46%. This unique biology strictly dictates harvesting protocols. Selective thinning, removing only mature culms aged 3 years and older, opens the canopy to sunlight and stimulates the rhizome to produce robust new shoots. Conversely, traditional clear felling is immediately fatal to the underground system. Modern bamboo silviculture manages the subterranean rhizome sink to optimize long-term health and regenerative capacity, rather than simply forcing the growth of visible stems. The establishment of intensive, single-species commercial plantations creates dense microclimates. These become ideal vectors for severe pest and fungal outbreaks that target the vital underground network. Bamboo blight, caused by the fungus Icerocladium oryzae, is the most destructive epidemic facing cultivators. It specifically targets young, tender culms during active elongation, rotting the internal tissue and causing the physical collapse of the entire shoot. Below the surface, subterranean and dry wood termites pose a massive threat. They hollow out the rhizome architecture and lower internode walls, leading to the sudden, complete structural failure of mature clumps. Defending the plantation requires proactive prophylactic hygiene. Cultivators must systematically remove decaying leaf litter before the monsoon season, loosen compacted soil to allow oxygen flow, and apply targeted fungicidal soil drenches to neutralize subterranean pathogen loads. A rigorous integrated pest and disease management strategy serves as the mandatory insurance policy protecting the biological engine of the plantation. Precise AEZ mapping allows the resulting biomass to support diverse industrial applications with high commercial value. The thick-walled, large-diameter culms from properly zoned species form the raw material foundation for premium engineered bamboo products. These include structural architectural beams, modular wall panels, and high-strength laminated boards. For species cultivated in the semi-arid zones, The harvested offcuts are mechanically processed into high-density charcoal briquettes and industrial pellets, providing a clean-burning, drop-in replacement that mitigates extractive pressure on indigenous forests. Alongside the physical timber, the rapid physiological growth cycle generates an immense environmental byproduct. A mature bamboo canopy has the capacity to sequester up to 259 tons of carbon per hectare. This exceptional sequestration capability positions African bamboo farmers to tap directly into global compliance and voluntary carbon credit markets, generating non-extractive revenue simply by maintaining a healthy plantation canopy. By abandoning monocrop fallacies and rigorously executing science-driven species site matching, Africa can convert its immense raw biological footprint into a highly lucrative, multi-billion-dollar industrial bioeconomy.